everyone, thanks for tuning in for another update with Henley's Happy Trails. We are currently just outside of Bemidji, Minnesota, dry camping for a couple of nights, taking a break between our work camping gigs.
We finished our last job at Mackinac Mill Creek Camping as camp hosts last week or a week ago, and now we're on our way via Route 2 to the sugar beet harvest in North Dakota.
Now, a lot has happened since we've left Mackinac Mill Creek Camping, so much so that we have a list in front of us, so if it looks like we're reading off of a script, we are. The night before Labor Day, actually, was where we'll start. Levi put on a great big comedy magic show for the campers, and there were about 200 people that came. One of the owners made lots of flyers that were passed out during check-in. And the show was a success. Levi had volunteers come up to help with tricks, and he got some really great reception from the crowd.
Yes, they didn't throw things at me this time.
That's right.
Yes, wonderful show. The following day we woke up bright and early before the sun came up in order to walk across the Mackinac Bridge. Every year on Labor Day, 50,000 people gather to walk across this 5-mile bridge, which happens to be the longest suspension bridge in the U.S. and 5th longest in the world.
Right, and the suspension bridge is massive. It's so massive that you would probably want to use the bathroom before you walked across it, right?
Right, unless your name is Levi and you decide you don't need to go to the bathroom until about a mile into the walk. The other 4 miles become an endurance exercise of not peeing your pants. Fortunately, with much pain and much anguish, I did make it to the end of the bridge walk without peeing myself.
Yes, that was a very big accomplishment.
Yes, but she really enjoyed the view and all of that.
Yes, it was absolutely gorgeous. The architecture, the scenery. So yeah, we had different experiences on that walk. We did end up going to Petoskey the weekend before our last few days of work to get some people and pet supplies. We took a different route this time. We actually went down a scenic route known as the Tunnel of Trees, also known as M119. It's a 30-mile stretch right along the coastline of Lake Michigan. And it's just a beautiful route with a canopy of trees overhead. That route connects Cross Village with Harbor Springs, just so if you're curious and would like to travel down that narrow, windy road like we did, I very highly recommend it. I would not recommend going in an RV. A small vehicle and a motorcycle are probably your 2 best bets. But there are a lot of pit stops along that route. We stopped at an old-fashioned general store, there's a vintage shop, and there's also Pond Hill Farm, which sells fresh produce and has a restaurant on the top that sells yummy food, wine, and brewed beer.
We took Brewy to the vet in Sheboygan, North Straits Animal Clinic, to get some bumps that she had looked at. They recommended removing them because they were growing and some of them looked oddly shaped. Fortunately, we had them removed, sent to a pathologist, and is cancer-free. The bumps were just sebaceous cysts, which are a common thing that dogs, as they get older, can get.
Yeah. And a few days before we took off, we did join the rest of the staff in a yummy potluck where the main entree was shrimp cooked in many different styles. It was very delicious and we were extremely full at the end of the night.
We said our goodbyes to Keith at Northern Michigan Dive Center this month, and that was an unfortunate goodbye. We really enjoyed our time and our dives at Northern Michigan Dive Center. On the day that we were leaving, we also said goodbye to the staff at Mackinac Mill Creek Camping. Natalie cried, as usual. We are still working with her on that.
Yes.
Fun story, after the saying goodbye, we took off across the Mackinac Bridge to get to the Upper Peninsula. The moment we left land, all of a sudden this high-pitched alarm went off. It was the alarm telling us that our levelers were down. So there was a quick moment of freak out because we were on the middle of a bridge at this point. There's nothing we can do. And it was the driver's side rear leveler that it said was down. And the only thing that I could do is hope that it wasn't going to go all the way down and start dragging on the grate 100 feet above the Straits of Mackinac. Fortunately, it didn't. I hit the retract button, and what happened was the leveler just didn't retract all the way when I retracted it in the morning, and so bouncing up and down on the bridge was just enough to bring it past that alarm point. So when I hit the retract, it eventually did go up, but that alarm went off the entire length of the bridge. And fortunately, before we got to the toll booth, it did go off. But after giving it a quick check, our levelers are functioning like they are supposed to. So we haven't had any issues since. But I thought we were going to die on the Mackinac Bridge
Yes, me
for a
too.
moment.
And since leaving Mackinac City, we have been using our All Stays app in order to find inexpensive and free campsites, which we've been very successful doing. These campsites that we've been staying at will be featured on our travel guide map, so if you're interested, take a look at our website, Henley's Happy Trails, at the travel guide map page. The first place that we ended up staying at, which runs along again the US Route 2, was within the Hiawatha National Forest, and the name of the campground was Haymeadow Creek Campground. There's about 15 sites. The campground was relatively clean. They have an outhouse, a water source there, and each of the campsites has a picnic table and a fire pit as well. So we had a chance to just kind of explore and relax during those 2 nights that we stayed there. We hiked the 1 mile loop of the Haymeadow Falls hiking trail, and right in the middle of that loop is actually a small waterfall. It was very pretty, so we got some really good pictures of that.
We did. The next night we found a 4-site campground in the Ottawa National Forest called Paint River Forks. It's situated right on Paint River, and we had the whole place to ourselves. Once again, it was they did have a bathroom, and they had some fire pits, and they had the grills over the fire pits, so we barbecued chicken and had a few beers, and it was a nice relaxing night, and best of all, it didn't cost anything.
Yep, and we made our way into Duluth the following day, where we got much needed maintenance done on the RV at Valvoline. So thanks a lot for all those workers that helped us out, fixing up and maintaining the RV. They did a very quick, thorough, quality job. And we were also lucky enough to be able to stay in the driveway of one of our friends, a couple of our friends' homes. Their names, Ian and Nicole, graciously offered their driveway and electricity for us while we stayed in Duluth. So thank you very much. We really appreciate it. And they also left us with a list of some restaurants to go to and some places to check out in Duluth. We got to one, which is the Duluth Grill.
It was amazingly good.
Yep.
And we had breakfast, and they offer a choice of cinnamon roll for breakfast, which of course I took. And I was expecting to get the little cinnamon roll, but what I got was a cinnamon pillow. It was a giant cinnamon roll. You could like sit in it and eat it at the same time. But I'm sure they wouldn't appreciate me doing that, so we just ate it from the plate. But it was so good, I actually got tears in my eyes while eating it. I had a happy foodie cry while I was having this cinnamon roll. So if you're ever in Duluth, the Duluth Grill for breakfast is definitely good food.
Yes, excellent food. We also visited the largest freshwater aquarium, which is in Duluth. The tickets were a little pricey, $18 a person, but the exhibits were very interesting, very educational. There was one great big model that showed all of the Great Lakes and how they run into each other, so we were able to figure out how exactly freighters and other boats and ships get across into the Atlantic.
And it was a really neat exhibit. They have like little plastic floaty toy boats, and we were shoving kids out of the way, and I think it's a life lesson when you do that. So,
but we also got to see and pet sturgeons.
Yes,
which you weren't able to do on our last dive.
The aquarium has a giant tank filled with several species of sturgeon, even beluga sturgeon, the large ones. And they don't seem to mind being pet at all. They almost seem to enjoy it. So, and their staff is very knowledgeable and will help you out with any questions that you have.
Yep. So we ended up leaving Duluth and we stayed at the White Oak Casino, which is just outside of Grand Rapids, and they offer free overnight stay to RVers. They also have 3 electric hookup sites, so we snagged one of those. So that leads us back up to where we're at now.
That it does. From here, we're headed to the beet harvest, which is 12-hour shifts and 7 days a week once we start. So we probably won't be doing too many updates while we're doing that. It only lasts for 10 to 14 days, but from that time we will be going dark, and so to speak.
But we do thank you.
We thank you for watching the video and bearing with us.
If you like the video, thumbs up. And if you would like more videos from henleyshappytrails.com, subscribe to our YouTube channel or visit us at our website and subscribe to it at henleyshappytrails.com.
Until that time, safe travels to you and
Happy
trails.
trails.